Hello guys, TavHD here and welcome back to another video, and apologies about this funny angle. I have to be on the floor because the subject of today's video, this Compaq Presario SR1000, is too heavy to put on my desk without risk of snapping it, because of course my desks are just made of cardboard, so that's why we are on the floor. Now I'm not sure how the lighting is, but I'm going to have to go with it. So today we're taking a look at this. This was my first desktop computer. I bought it for £100 probably about 7 years ago. Now it's worth about £30, but I'm not going to sell it at any point soon anyway. So let's take a look at the outside of it, then we'll have a look on the inside, then we'll boot it up and see if there's anything to explore on there. So I believe this would have originally come with Windows XP because there is a license sticker on the top, but if I remember correctly, this is currently running Windows 7 Home Premium. But we'll get on to the operating system a bit later on, but for now, let's take a look at the outside. Now this has two disk drives. The top one is a DVD writer and CD writer, and there is a dead fly in there which I'm not going to get out. And the second one is a DVD ROM just in there. I'm not really sure why they put two in. I'm sure one would have been just fine, but we do have another expansion bay and then another one here. Now on the higher end models of this computer, this bay here came populated, I think, with card readers and that sort of thing. This one doesn't have that, but that was not a feature that I really missed having. Now, next down here we've got video. So we've got S-Video and component. I believe these are probably outputs, or maybe they're inputs. I actually don't know. I've never used them. I don't really have anything that uses those, and it never really came up with my use case. Then we've got audio. Here we've got line in, microphone and headphone. Then we've got Firewire 400, or as it says here, 1394. Then we've also got two USB 2 ports. Now this does not have USB 3, it's before the days of that, but I never had any USB 3 devices at the time of having this anyway, so it really didn't make much of a difference to me. Then here we've got the power button. This is a very nice feeling power button. It's nice and big, makes quite a nice noise as well. Then it says Compaq and Presario. Then we've got a hard drive activity light. I believe that lights up green and flashes. And finally, we've got an AMD Athlon 64 sticker. Now, I believe that you could get these with Intel CPUs as well. This is the AMD one. I'm not exactly sure which model it is, but we'll discover that later, because at the time I got this, I wasn't really too much into the hardware that computers had, so I didn't really pay too much attention. As long as it worked, that's really all I cared about. Then at the bottom, we've got some cooling vents as well. If I remember correctly, there is no intake fan on this, but there is an exhaust on the back, which I don't believe is currently plugged in, because I did take it out for another computer. But yeah, I'll have to plug that back in before we turn this on. So yeah, that's the front. Now let's take a look at the rear I/O. Okay, so at the top here is our power supply. I'm not too sure on the wattage of this, but it's absolutely fine to power this machine. We've then got our PS2 keyboard and mouse. We've got serial, a printer connector. Then if I move the camera down, we then have another Firewire 400, 4 more USBs, an Ethernet here. We've got more audio in, microphone and headphone. And then we've got the graphics card. This has VGA, S-Video and component on it. And that is pretty much it. The other expansion bays, they're covers. I never got this computer with the cover, so maybe someone had more things in it at some point, but they are not in it anymore. Then we've also got some information on here as well. Okay, so here is the inside. Now I have located where this fan needs to be plugged in. It's just down there. It's down there, that red connector, but I just can't reach it with the graphics card in. I'm not going to take it out, so I guess we'll just have to run this without the fan. I don't really think it will make much difference. Now, I can now see from the sticker on this power supply that it is 250 watts, which is absolutely nothing compared to modern computers, but this really does not pull too much power so it doesn't really matter. Now if we take a look at the motherboard in here, it's a funny yellowy colour. You don't see boards that colour anymore, but I think that that was quite common back in the day. Our fan at the back is 80mm. It's actually fairly quiet, which is quite nice. We've also got 2 sticks of RAM. I believe they are 256 megabytes each for a total of half a gigabyte, but I could be wrong. Let's see if I can zoom in on the sticker. No, it won't focus on the sticker, and I can't actually see from here, so I guess we'll find that out when we turn the computer on. There's our graphics card. I think this is an AGP slot, but I can't exactly tell. I'm not sure what this graphics card is, but when I did put the model number into eBay a few years back, someone was selling one for £300. I'm not really sure if that's accurate or not. I'm not sure if it ever sold, but I think this is a HP OEM card. I'll Google the model number again at some point. I'll probably overlay it in this video. But I think that there's not really too much else to look at in here. We've of course got a hard drive. This one is IDE, even though this board does support SATA. As you can see down there, there are 2 SATA headers. Whether the power supply has any SATA power, I don't actually think it does, so that's probably why they didn't use the SATA drive, but also it's probably cheaper to use an IDE one. Then of course up there we've got our 2 optical drives, and it's very, very dusty in here. I doubt it's ever been cleaned. It looks like at some point a spider has been living in here too. I hope it's not still in there, because if it is, it probably won't enjoy being in here when the computer's turned on. But I think that that is pretty much all there is to see on the inside. So now let's plug it in via VGA and see if it still powers up. Now I remember correctly, this graphics card doesn't support 1080p, so it'll probably be at some weirdo low resolution which looks terrible on the monitor. Okay, I've now plugged everything in. There's a nice green light on the back of the power supply indicating that it is getting power. Now I must also say that this is the first time this machine will have been powered up in probably about 3 years, so it will be interesting to see if anything actually happens. I'm not going to plug this into the network because Windows 7 is no longer supported, and it will have no sort of security that works on it anymore, so it's better not to risk it. So let's now click the power button and see what happens. 3, 2, 1. Well, you can probably hear that. That's quite loud, and that's just the CPU fan because the back one isn't plugged in. Now I wonder if this monitor's turned on. Let's see. That hard drive really doesn't sound good. Let's go through the inputs. Has it found it? Auto adjustment. There we go. Please wait. That could do with some more adjustment, to be honest. And it says welcome. Okay, so it's showing the desktop wallpaper, but nothing else is showing up, and also the alignment's off. This is all black and everything's been pushed over. Let's see if there's anything in the monitor settings that can fix that. Screen adjustment. Let's do something here. Yep, that's perfect. Just move that over. I think 83 is exactly right. I'll have to remember to change that back later though. And it looks like we've gone to the desktop, and the taskbar is at the top, and it's installing device driver software. I assume that's for the keyboard and mouse that I've plugged in. If you can see at the bottom here, this looks a bit like Mac OS. We've got a dock. That's because I remember I installed Rocket Dock on here, if I remember correctly, so that's where this came from. And you can see all the programs that are on here. So we've got the full Office 2007 suite, which I kind of forgot about. We've also got Action on here apparently for screen recording, but apparently our device is ready to use. Now the first thing I want to do, I'm going to have to blur that user picture out. That isn't appropriate. So that's something extra I'll have to do. I won't describe it, it's not really relevant. Let's go into computer. That took its time, and that hard drive's not happy. So it looks like our local disk C, which is the internal drive, is 150 gigabytes, 123 gigabytes of that is free. Let's now go to properties, make that bigger. So we've got Windows 7 Home Premium Service Pack 1. Now Windows Experience Index is 1. I think that's the lowest that you can get. And we've got an AMD Athlon 64, which I did know, but this is the 3200 plus, running at 2.01 gigahertz. I did not know that, so that's interesting to know. And I said that I thought it had half a gig of RAM, but it's actually got 1 gigabyte, so we must have two 512 sticks in here. This is 32-bit, of course, and the name is Main PC. I did not know that, and this is a genuine Microsoft software, which is very nice to see. Let's now close that. I'm not too sure why the taskbar's at the top. I don't remember doing that, and it disappears as well. I guess it gives you more room on screen. Now let's just take a look at a couple more things. So let's go into screen resolution and see what this thing's actually running at. Okay, so generic monitor VGA 1280 by 1024, and that is the highest it will go. I remember when I was using this computer daily, I bought myself a new monitor, and it was a 1080p one. In fact, it was that monitor over there. And I bought that, I plugged it into this computer, and I could not get 1080p. And I was so excited to finally have a 1080p monitor upgrading from a 720p TV, and it didn't work. So then I had to buy a new computer, which was that CyberPower one with the FX 4300, but that was about a year or two later. So for 2 years I had to suffer with 1280 by 1024 instead of 1080p, but oh well, I've kind of got over that now. But here is our graphics card properties. It just says standard VGA graphics adapter. It says NVIDIA with 128 megabytes of RAM, but does it say exactly what model it is? Because that's what I'm not too sure about. I'm not too sure, but it does say it's 8-bit. I'm not too sure how we will find that out, and I wanted to go for the X button, but it didn't let me click it. I'm not too sure. Let's go into control panel, and in here let's go to hardware and sound. Let's take a look under display. That's not really helpful. Let's go back, let's look under devices and printers and see if that says anything. Nope. What about in device manager? Now this might give us a bit of insight into what this card exactly is, because I'm not too sure. Display adapters. It doesn't seem to know, but the driver date is 2006. So I guess I'll have to just Google the number and see if that tells me again, because I can't seem to find out in here. Maybe the drivers just aren't installed and that's why it's running at a lower resolution, but I'm not too sure. This is definitely 60 Hz though, which is nice to see. Okay, so I've just had a quick Google of the model number on the graphics card, which is Lancer 210M03, and then auto predict put video card on the end, so I'm assuming someone has searched this before because they were interested too. It looks like I said, it is HP specific, and according to this it is an NVIDIA, which we did know, GeForce FX 5200, and as I thought, it is a GP. And if we take a look at the pictures here, this is actually exactly the same as the one in my computer. If we look, it has the same outputs, VGA, S-Video and component. So I'm confident that this is what it is. Let's go on to eBay and take a look. Here is one for $50. That's the same thing again. The pictures show that as well. So I think we can confidently say that this graphics card is an FX 5200. Now I'd quite like to check if this thing's got an internal speaker. Apparently it does. I don't think I've ever used it. So let's see if we can get anything to play out of it. So let's go. It doesn't seem to be doing anything. It should be making bonging noises, but it isn't. Oh well. I don't think I ever had a working speaker in this, to be honest. And yet again I pressed the show desktop button instead of the X because the taskbar came up at the top. Let's take a look at a couple of things down here. So we've got disk 1, that's a folder for a drive that isn't connected anymore. Action, I've tried opening that, it won't open. Panda Cloud Antivirus, that came on the computer when I got it. I don't know if it's any good or not. I doubt it would be any good now though, all these years later. Windows Media Center, that's always nice to have a bit of fun with. Let's go along. Rocket Dock, that's what this dock is. Google Chrome as well. One Late Night, that's a very nice game. I do actually quite enjoy that. I don't think it actually runs on this computer. Then we've got Word 2007. We've got chess. I don't know how to play chess on here. I never really got that to work. VirtualBox, never got that to work either. That seems to be the story with a lot of things on here. Nothing really worked on it because it was so old. Then we've got Launch Monitor Driver Installer, but that can't be found. That's either a question mark. Then we've got DVD making software, which is interesting. And my favourite thing has to be Purple Place. Oh dear. Hardware acceleration is either disabled or not supported by your video card driver. Oh dear, but is it still going to open? Yes it is, but I assume this is going to run absolutely terrible. So I guess this can be our little gaming benchmark to see if anything happens. Let's go with beginner. I'll put it full screen, if it will. Alright, that's as big as it will go, not to worry. Oh, this looks absolutely awful. Of course, this is an extremely demanding game, isn't it? I think that's enough. Let's just quit out of that. I'm not too sure what else there is to see on here. We've got lots of things in the recycle bin, lots of audio files. I'm not too sure what they are. I can't really play them because the speaker doesn't work, or it's just not there. I'm not too sure. But looking in the pictures folder here, I can see some pictures. This is a picture of my iPhone 4S. I had to do a project once comparing two pieces of technology. So I compared my iPhone 4S to my grandma's Samsung flip phone here. She actually still uses this phone. This was probably about 6 years ago. She still uses it to this day. I think she is upgrading soon because the battery is dying. I think she's upgrading to a £20 plastic bright blue one which she got from O2. So yeah, as long as she's happy with it, that's all that matters. But I had a lot of fun comparing those two things. No, that's an upside down word search. I don't know what that's all about, but if you look at the date, that is the 14th of October 2014. So that's probably about when I was using this as my main computer, but I don't really think there's too much on here to look at. So I think that that is pretty much it, apart from, if we see in here, if I try and apply the Aero theme, it just gets upset and doesn't, so it just applies the basic one instead. So maybe we do just need the graphics drivers, but I'm not too sure where I get them from. Maybe in a separate video we can try and get drivers on here and see if that improves the performance. And we've got back to the default wallpaper now. Not too bothered about that, but I think that that is pretty much it for this video. Just a quick look, and I think in the future we should try installing Windows XP onto this thing again. I think that would be quite fun, putting it back on its original operating system. That's something I would very much like to do in the not too distant future. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully it was interesting. I'm now going to turn it off probably for another 3 or 4 years maybe, because I don't really have a use for it, but I also don't want to get rid of it because it was my first computer. So let's shut this thing down and thank you for watching this video. And as soon as this goes off, I'll end the video and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.